everything by like letters, you know, and by voices and everything. So how did this become so significant? What's everything?
Well, Napoleon became the leader of France um, because of his ability as a general. He kept winning various battles, starting in Italy, but then one after another until he became like the French hero. And then, in fact, became the emperor, declared himself the emperor.
He didn't declare himself the emperor. The people declared him the emperor.
Well, the Pope was even invited and arrived and was going to put the crown on his head, and he took the crown from the Pope and put it on his own head. There's a great painting of that.
But what's so significant about the white horse? Is that with the horse that he rode?
Apparently, yes.
Okay.
It signals his virtue as a leader.
Okay.
Or just that was his favorite horse.
Yeah.
The one story I read though was Hegel was actually up in his room looking out the window when he saw Napoleon ride by on a horse. And that was because there was a battle, the Battle of Jena. And as a result of that battle, the university that Hegel was teaching at collapsed. And so he had to go get a job. And he ended up being an editor of a newspaper in Bamberg for about 2 years, and then talked to various friends, including Goethe and one of the Humboldts, and he ended up getting then a job. It might have even been Herder, but I mean, they were all, you know, all these people are writing to one another and interconnected. And he ended up then getting a job as a high school principal in Nuremberg, where he not only was the principal of the high school, but he also taught philosophy in the high school. It's a gymnasium, so, but still a high school, essentially. And that's where he also wrote his Logic, which was his second important book. And that's also where he married a young woman who was a daughter, I think, of the mayor, and set up household and stuff. And so he was there for quite a few years until he was offered a teaching position, first at Heidelberg, where he went for 2 years. But then they offered him the position in Berlin, and so they all moved to Berlin, and he was there until he died as a professor, but also as the head of the school, the University of Berlin, which is now Humboldt University in Berlin. So that was, but yeah, the battle in Jena was what kind of destroyed the German establishment, and so the university collapsed. And so, but if he's carrying a book there, that was the book, The Phenomenology, which he had just finished as that was going on, and he sent it by post, and it got to the publisher, even though there was a war and everything else. And it was his only copy too, so.
That's really lucky.
You know,
It's a shame.
didn't have a copy machine or anything then.
There was this, I can't remember, I think it's the Gone by the Wind author. The author of Gone with the Wind, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Gone with the Wind. She was first completing her draft. Her first draft that she was about to send to her publisher burned in a house fire, and she had to start all over again. And because, you know, she was almost done with the book, and it's a pretty hefty book.
Mm-hmm.
She had to start all over because it's not like she had a backup copy.
Now the problem you have is, you save each version of it as you're working until you've got so many different versions you can't remember which do you like better.
Set my computer to automatically date versions.
One question. We have the 30,000 where, I'm trying to this down now. 3,000 were in, lost, or we would like. Do you recommend anyone for me?
Martha Nussbaum.
And that was on the list?
Yep, she's on the list.
Was that the?
I'm thinking because of
the
healthcare.
law one?
She is a law. She teaches at Chicago Law School, University of Chicago Law School. But she's important for ethics and for medical ethics, things of that sort. So I would think she would be up your alley as a medical professional.
I looked at both the girls and they're pretty amazing. But, I don't know.
I think all the people on my list are amazing. There's a lot of people that are also amazing that, you know, I can't keep building the list. I literally can't keep building the list because I can't access the website anymore. I'm locked out. It's I could probably figure it out, but at my age, why? You know, why do it? But I do have. I go here, here, here. I like links. I guess you figured that out. And here's my list.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we have all kinds of folks.
Trying to find her.
Some of them have died.
Where is she? She's Martha?
Martha Nussbaum.
She's on the, that one. Yes, that's the one you thought was hot.
I didn't say hot, I said sexy.
But
But I suppose there's a synonym, they're similar.
Very relatable.
But then, how would I, like, what, didn't you have to answer, like, what is her, like, theory? Not theory, but like, what is she?
Well, she's an Aristotelian, that's her specialty. Aristotle.
Okay.
So she's a specialty in Aristotelian ethics. And if you go to Nussbaum means nut tree.
Oh, okay.
These are all contemporary ones, but this is the one that, of course,
All
she's.
your business needs.
See, there's the
One
commercials.
platform.
You just,
Go
you
to
know,
Wix.com and get a robust booking.
it's not actually Moyers because he was on vacation that day.
Sorry, another film, did that go in this?
Good evening, I'm Bill Moyer. Imagine yourself faced with this.
Is it Bill Moyers?
If you don't give your brother.
It is.
a
He just said he was.
You doom your soul to unrest forever. Why did you say?
In terrible conflict, and he says, not anything he can do, but he leave without wrongdoing. And at that point, he says,
So this is one of the beauties of the internet and YouTube. You can take a video that's, how old do you think this was?
Oh, yeah, she's
I shall
young.
lend my own child
She's
to pride
pretty.
my house, polluting.
So, here's Ellie, by the way. I think I showed her the other day, talking. Why is she so silent?
Okay.
That's really weird. Oh well.
Marx is deeply indebted to Hegel's progressivist view of history. For Marx, as for Hegel,
So, what? There's lots.
Taking down the audio, maybe. They do that sometimes, I think.
She's brilliant. So are some folks out there, if you listen to the pace, and I mean, they do edit her videos, but if you listen to the pace and you look at her face and you know she's not reading any of this. This is coming, you know, right out.
Super smart.
Yes. There are people out there that are just amazing. So yeah, there are folks that you could use that I have on this list. If you haven't picked your philosopher yet. And there are other ones. If you find, you know, lots of people find folks and want to do them, but they're not on the list, well, email me if you're interested. The one I love to say no to is Ayn Rand. If you're not familiar with her, that's okay. You don't have to. But a lot of people like her, and she's so not a philosopher, really. Well, she is, but it's just she was totally out of touch with philosophy of her time period. She wasn't an academic philosopher. But so yeah, if you haven't picked a philosopher for your term paper yet, you should soon. We're getting close. And,
Mine ran the one that's super libertarian.
yes.
Yeah.
Associated with, well, she was married to Hollywood producers, and she wrote books that were novels primarily about people that were just like Donald Trump, basically. You know, as if that was the best kind of way to live. Rourke, I can't remember Rourke's. Doing whatever you need to do in order to get whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
That kind of approach to things.
Right.
She was very popular, still is. There's a big fan club for her and her philosophy. So, well, welcome. We have survivors. Wow, that's pretty neat. That's pretty typical, though, that we get fewer and fewer people actually arriving as we get closer. And boy, the trees really smelled like spring this morning. Did anyone notice, or were you too busy?
I don't make a habit of sniffing trees.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't actually like go up to a tree and go sniff. It's just since I park up at APU and I walk that lovely trail, I get to smell spring, you know, in the air, which is pretty neat.
My sense of smell seems to come in and out. It's weird. Sometimes I can't smell anything. Sometimes I smell everything.
I have two friends that were normally the persons that hold the book club each month, and we're not having it in their house this Sunday because they both have COVID. So that's still out there too. So I don't know if you're... Okay, but today we're going to move on to John Stuart Mill. There's lots of ways you could look up Mill. And there's some other folks that I should mention as we go, and I'll just plug them up here as we go so that you can see who they are. Mary Wollstonecraft. She's pretty significant, and we haven't mentioned her. Main thing that she's significant for was writing the book, The Vindication of the Rights of Women, where she defended and remember the British, even up to John Stuart Mill's day, didn't give women rights. In fact, it was at one point in his life that they finally passed some rules giving women rights, and he pointed out, like, guys were like ruled by a woman. You know, Queen Victoria, who, if you didn't know, she was a woman. You know, had lots of children. You know, like, you know, royalty. You know. You know, So, and of course Elizabeth, the famous queen, you know, Mary was you know, they had lots of queens, and we just, of course, lost Queen Elizabeth II, who was 90 something, and a woman,
No, she wasn't a woman.
and apparently brave enough during the London Olympics to parachute into the stadium.